Terraform and Ansible are two very popular tools in the DevOps space. In this video, let's see how they work very well together, specifically Terraform for provisioning and Ansible for configuration management. In this video, we're going to see a demo where I'll create a Jenkins machine. Basically, it's going to be an EC2 instance in AWS. Terraform is going to create the EC2 instance, and Ansible is going to deploy Docker, a Docker engine in the EC2 instance, and then run the Docker image or Docker container that creates or that has a Jenkins in it. And from there, we can access Jenkins. We're going to use mzero for this, and this is a really nice setup for a testing environment for Jenkins. And we'll see how we can limit the time to live to 6 hours in this example, where after 6 hours, the whole setup will be destroyed. So it's very nice to quickly set up Jenkins, test something new, for example, and then destroy the entire environment. So let's get started. So I'm in mzero's platform here, and I already have a bunch of projects. The project that I have set up for us is Jenkins in AWS. And there is a project template here. So if you take a look at the template, the Jenkins container in EC2, we can look at our settings. So we've got Terraform selected, and we gave it a name. We have the Terraform version specified here. And the VCS that I have connected here is GitLab. And here's my GitLab repo. We'll take a look at this one later, but just know that we have GitLab tied in here. We have a few variables. As you can see, we'll go over these variables when we go over the Terraform code. And I've tied this to the project Jenkins in AWS. So that's pretty much what we've got for the template. So let's go ahead and create an environment. So we're going to run this. And from here, I'm going to use mzero's backend. And we're going to destroy this environment in 6 hours. So I'll select destroy after 6 hours. And my variables are taken from the template. So that all looks good to me. And we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and run this environment. And while this environment runs, I'll explain exactly what is going on behind the scenes. All right, I just got a Slack message that the deployment has started. Okay, here's my Slack. So we can see Jenkins in AWS. Deploy started from template Jenkins container in EC2 by Sam Gabriel on main. And as you can see here, it is working. We can see the Terraform plan. It's going to alert me very soon that the Terraform plan is complete. So we're planning 11 resources to add. And at the end of it, there's the Slack message. So you can see here, deploy started by Sam Gabriel, awaiting approval. We're estimating a cost of $9.27. We can see that here as well. You can see the outputs, the private key, the public IP, and the URL for this EC2 instance. A bunch of resources that are going to get generated, a VPC, subnet, a security group, routing table association, AWS key pair, internet gateway, and then the EC2 instance. And then I got an Elastic IP association along with the TLS private key that will generate. So let's go ahead and approve. And once this gets approved, of course, it's going to, again, alert me that deploy approved by Sam Gabriel. That looks good. And the Terraform apply is going to kick in at this point, followed by Terraform output, followed by the after hook for Terraform output. And this after hook is not started yet, of course, but this is what's going to run Ansible. Right. So what I like about mzero is that I don't need to use an external CI/CD pipeline like GitLab or GitHub Actions or Circle CI. Everything is embedded in the same platform. So once again, I can run Ansible right after the Terraform apply is complete. So while that runs, let's go ahead and take a look at our configuration. So here's the repo. And in this repo, I've just got my 3 Terraform files here, main, outputs, and variables. I have an Ansible folder where I've got my playbook. And of course, I have the mzero.yaml. So this is what makes the whole pipeline work. And basically, what you can see here is that we got a YAML file similar to what you would get with GitHub Actions or GitLab and so on. So we got to deploy and we got steps. We just got one step here, Terraform output, and it's after the Terraform output. What we're going to do is we're going to run the command Terraform output, and we're going to put the raw key in this particular file because we need to use that key to SSH into the machine. And then we're going to change the permissions on this file to 400 to be able to access it for SSH. And then we're going to change a placeholder or swap out this placeholder with the Terraform output for the public IP of the EC2 instance. And this will sit in the Ansible inventory file that I'll show you in just a little bit. This is just a way to update the inventory file so Ansible knows the IP address to SSH into the EC2 instance to run the playbook. Then we're going to install Ansible here on the worker that the mzero has that's running. Run an ls just to see what's going on. We can also cat the Ansible inventory to see that the Ansible inventory, the placeholder app here has been changed with the actual public IP of the EC2 instance. And then we get into the Ansible folder and then run the Ansible playbook right here using the private key that we stored in this temporary file. And again, using the inventory file that I mentioned and then specifying the Jenkins playbook.yaml file. All right, so let's jump back and take a look at our main.tf for Terraform. We're using AWS as our provider. We're also using the TLS provider to generate the private key. All right, so we have our resource AWS VPC, so creating a VPC, creating a subnet right here, creating a security group. As you can see, Ingress port 22 and 8080 and 5,000 or 50,000. I think this should be 5,000, but we really don't use this one. Port 8080 is the one used to access Jenkins. Port 22 is for SSH. Egress on everything. And then the AWS Internet Gateway that will allow us to access the internet. AWS Route Table Association. And then we're grabbing the Ubuntu AMI and creating an EIP, Elastic IP Association with our instance, and then creating the actual instance itself, right? Using the AMI that we grabbed for Ubuntu and the key that we generated, the instance type, and subnet ID, security group. And then here's our private key that we create, and we have the AWS key pair that we generate that's tied into this private key that we just created. And then if we go back, we can take a quick look at, our variables file, and that's where we specify all the variables to run within Terraform. So we can see a prefix that we use just to help identify the resources that we're using. The region is US East 1, address space, we're using the 10/16, subnet prefix 10.0.10.0/24, and then we're using T2 micro as our instance type, and my AWS key, I'm calling this mykey.pem. And then finally, from a Terraform perspective, we can go back. Oh, we got a notification that our deployment has succeeded. We can see it here, deploy completed successfully. Very cool. 12 changes, so that's Terraform finishing here, but let's finish with our config. The outputs, we're going to see the URL, the public IP, and the private key as well, and we've marked this as a sensitive variable for our output. All right, so let's take a look and see where we're at. We can see that the outputs are here, the private IP, the public IP, and the URL. It's all showing here. If we go to the deployment logs and look at the after Terraform output, we see that the the mzero pipeline itself, or what we call custom flow, has run. And you can see we're running, remember, the ls right here, so we can see all the components or all the folders in the worker that is running right now. So we can see the Ansible folder that we're going to use. Cat Ansible inventory, we can see that the actual placeholder has been changed with the public IP address of Terraform, or the EC2 instance that Terraform comes out with. And here we're running the actual playbook, the Ansible playbook. And I'm going to go over the playbook, but you can see that it has finished, it has succeeded. And now if I go back into our resources and I can grab either the URL, so we can copy that, or the public IP, either one, and open a new tab. And we're running on port 8080 for Jenkins. That should take us and open the Jenkins portal. This is the first time, of course, we can put in our admin password and continue to run with Jenkins. So that has successfully been deployed. So I just want to show you the Ansible playbook, and that should be it for this video. So here we can see that we've got our Ansible folder, and inside the Ansible folder we've got the inventory file, and as I mentioned, here's the placeholder app placeholder that basically we change this into the IP address of the EC2 instance. Terraform will give us the output for that. And here is the actual playbook for Ansible. And if you take a look at the playbook, we're looking at installing pip3 and unzip in the very beginning, adding the Docker GPG key, add the Docker repo, update app, install Docker CE. So this is where we install Docker, install the Docker module for Python, pull the Jenkins Docker image. I'm using this particular image here that I've created, and then changing file ownership, group, and permissions right here for our directory. And then finally, we are creating the Jenkins container to run Jenkins within this container. And no, actually, this is correct. We are running port 50,000 on the host, map to 50,000 inside the container, but we're actually running on port 8080. That's what matters. So as you can see here, this is the Ansible playbook that got us to get the container to run within the EC2 instance. And all is working. And again, we can use this to test Jenkins. And if we don't do anything here, you can see that the time left is about 5 hours and 49 minutes. So we set this for 6 hours for the TTL. At the end of this timer, mzero is going to go out and destroy our environment, destroy the setup. So again, from a testing perspective, this is nice. You can, of course, change your mind and say, no, I want this as unlimited time, and update that. And that way, mzero is not going to go out and destroy this machine. You can always change the time, again, destroy after a certain period of time, which is a very nice feature that mzero has for us here. But I think we're done here. Everything is good. We can go ahead and destroy our environment, and that should take care of this environment that we just created. And once again, our notifications show up in Slack here that we're just about to destroy this environment. So hopefully this has been helpful for you to understand how Terraform and Ansible kind of work very well together to provide a really good solution where we're working on provisioning a resource and then using a configuration management tool such as Ansible to do patching. So for example, if we want to upgrade the Docker image that's running Ansible, we can do that. That's running Jenkins, we can do that easily with Ansible, and add more libraries, add more maybe applications to that particular EC2 instance. So Ansible will take care of all of that for us. So Terraform shines when it comes to provisioning, Ansible shines when it comes to configuration management. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another one.